Okay, Marie, when you give us the green light.
And what?
One more tippy tap.
What?
I don't remember us going.
We're inching.
Can you see how many people are watching on YouTube? Okay, Marie, when you give us the green light.
And what?
One more tip.
Right. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our June 1st, 2022 City Council meeting. As you can tell, I am not Mayor Lindsay Peterson, or maybe you can't tell. We do look similar in appearance, but she's excused tonight, enjoying time with her family, well-deserved time out of the country. Before we start, we do have to have a motion for me to be able to chair the meeting in her place tonight. Or you can not do that. We can ask somebody else to do it as well. So
I motioned. I motioned to have Buzzy chairperson.
I'll add that whenever Lindsay's out of town, he has
Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay. Yep.
all right, motion by Emily. Do we have a second?
second.
Roger, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair rules unanimous. All right, we will start off tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance by Joni, I believe, and then a prayer offered by Emily.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before thee today to ask thee to help us as we discuss city business, that we will have open and clear minds. We thank thee for the moisture that we have received and for the snow on our mountains. We ask a blessing on those who are near and far, that they can be safe in their homes. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Joni and Emily. All right, so first item tonight, Alan, I don't believe that we have any changes to the agenda, correct?
No, not that I'm aware.
So entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Roger, second by Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is adopted. Marie, do we have minutes? No minutes? Well, we're gonna fly tonight. And Alan, how about follow-up items?
Oh, just.
Right. I go through these fairly quickly. We'll give some updates on the Civic Center later on in the meeting, so I won't go over those. Garbage RFP. Right now, all of the cities are working together. Lindsay Peterson, our mayor, is the trash czar, basically the one in charge of all of that, coordinating everything. She's done a fantastic job. The city managers from Smithfield and Hiram helped her put together the RFP, and then Lindsay's been fine tuning that. We'll probably send it out in the next couple of weeks for garbage. And they're also working with the county on location for landfill services along those same lines. Jumping down through here, we'll talk about the budget tonight, so I won't go over those items along with communication. Water, we'll go over that as well. So I'm just going to jump down to sewer because those are going to be two main topics here. Sewer, we have to apply for our bond here pretty soon with the Department of Environmental Quality for our trunk line. We have to have a bond for that $10 million line. That's our main trunk line that goes out to Logan City. And then if you see Twin D out there, that's a company that's going to be jetting and cleaning out several areas. They've been working on the East Bench. I think they're basically completed now or getting close to that. Jumping down through here, streets. They are crack sealing right now, and they've been replacing a few irrigation boxes. In the next month or month and a half, you'll start see them doing some of the major streets projects, a lot of chip seal. They do a lot each year. They partner with the county to save on a considerable amount of costs. We're grateful for that partnership too, which helps us out. Stormwater, they're basically updating a lot of things and putting it on the new system is what they're doing. Engineering, they're helping out with a lot of the things that I've already gone over. But the main thing they're working on is really water, one aspect of that. To get that bond from the USDA, and Jordan or Zach will probably go over that a little bit later in the meeting, so I won't go over that in detail. Parks, they're revamping several things. They put together a very lengthy list if you go to that specific action item list, because they're working on countless things in both Elkridge and Meadowview right now. As you can see, the courts, the pickleball courts are getting closer. They'll probably have a lot of that wrapped up at the beginning of July, meaning both the pickleball, the restroom, They'll start working on the pavilion. The parking lot comes in shortly after that. So a lot of things will come together in that area, and the splash pads are getting up and running right now. They'll only run for a few days a week though, because we are in water restrictions already this year. Trails, we are working with the county on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. They have to do an environmental portion for the grant that we received. We received a $70,000 grant for the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. Recreation, just countless things going on in recreation. From baseball, they are starting some senior programming at the RSL, or now the HSC complex. And they have some adult soccer and kickball leagues that are coming up next week. So these are all new in addition to baseball, wrapping up soccer. Baseball, I think they're double the next highest city in the valley in participants this year. So that's off to the recreation department for those statistics there. Facilities, they're working on the restrooms, getting those hooked up. Fixed. There's several modifications we need to do in those. Cemetery, we had a fantastic Memorial Day. One of the best I've been to. So thanks to each of those participants in that. It was fantastic this Monday. And we had 120 people attend that. So it was very well attended. Even though it was rained out, and we had to move to the local church next to that. It still was very well attended. And we are working on secondary water, getting that to the cemetery. This week on Thursday, we'll work on the moderate income housing plan. Spencer's putting together the items and following up on the info that you gave him, the feedback in the last workshop, to bring that up to date with the state's plan. Jumping down through here, economic development master plan. We'll talk a little bit about more the CRA being that approved and what that entails. They're working with several different companies and businesses right now, trying to wrap up some letters of intent in those areas. So that there's a lot of progress there that we're seeing. Just jumping down through here, I'm going to jump down to human resources. We had open enrollment, so everyone will have their insurance updated for the year by the 24th of this month. Don't forget the employee party, but we'll go over that at the end of this. Scott has been very helpful. He's created all the budgets that we will go over tonight, along with all the information. So hats off to him in preparing all those things. Library, there's endless programming going on. Probably going to their website to see everything that entails. It's very extensive right now that they have. They're very busy. And then we'll go over their summer reading kickoff, or more the fundraising kickoff here later on in the meeting. Police are helping us with the nuisance properties. They reached out to me yesterday. We were working together on that. Thanks to them. And then fire department, they're working on their new station. They're talking about an RFP, and hopefully they go out for that soon. And then we'll see how that comes back for their new station, their main station 70 that they'll build. So I went through those pretty quickly. Are there any questions on any of those items?
Any questions from the council? I did kind of a quick funny story just to extend the meeting as long as possible tonight. So I was joking with talking with a neighbor about the public hearing tonight on property tax increases, and mentioned you should come tonight. And she said to me, "Hey, do you know when the pickleball courts are going to be done?" I don't, but you know what? That's fair. If that's maybe not the worst thing. That was the biggest concern. So thanks for addressing the pickleball courts.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Alan? Okay. We will move on to recognition of exemplary staff member. These are kind of funny tonight. We have a couple recognitions that are well-deserved, and each one nominated each other. So I'm not sure if this was like a plan, but we'll go through it either way. Our first recognitions tonight go to Jordan Oldham and Ryan Campbell. Jordan is our Public Works Director. Ryan is our Parks Division Manager, and both were nominated by Spencer Burt, who's here tonight in our Community Development Director. And I've ruined the secret because he'll be the next recognition who's nominated by Jordan. So Jordan, Oldham, and Ryan Campbell are always willing to go the extra mile for North Logan and its residents, even on holiday weekends that they could be spending out on vacation. They both were key in setting up for relocating and cleaning up after the Memorial Day festivities this year in the rain. They both ensured that the event went on without a hitch, even with the rainy curveball thrown their way. All on top of their daily tasks and keeping all the park, streets, utilities, and public works departments running smoothly for North Logan. So a warm round of applause for Jordan and Ryan, well-deserved honors. I don't see Ryan here tonight, but Jordan's obviously there in front of his iPad streaming the meeting. All right. And second tonight, Spencer Burt, our community development director, who's here and sitting next to Jordan. He is nominated by Jordan, who's our public works director. I love the picture, by the way. Spencer Burt was selected as an exemplary employee for his role in active transportation planning and trails. He works diligently to find ways to get people where they need to go. He always goes the extra mile to see that people have beneficial experiences and enjoy the ride. He dedicates hours to those in need and truly listens to their concerns, no matter how eccentric. Spencer is a vital part of the North Logan family. He goes above and beyond the call of duty and is always willing to help those in need, no matter how uncomfortable the situation. We are lucky to have such a great person at the city and are grateful to have him. He treats everyone like family. I concur. Round of applause. And I have to ask, is there a gift that goes with this down the road, or is it
Just the clapping that you provided? No,
No.
sorry. There's a gift card, a digital
That's what
gift card we give to each
Okay.
one of them.
Okay, that's what I know. We used to do water bottles and then hadn't stayed up on that. Well deserved. Thank you. Thank you both here tonight. Ryan, who's not able to be with us. Next item tonight is a proclamation for our former mayor, Kerry Watkins. Many of you are aware, Mayor Watkins passed away earlier in the year, right? Alan, do you know the exact date?
I don't
of
know
his
the exact
passing?
date, sorry.
Okay, let me pull it up and we'll read through it real quick. Lindsay left me all the long reading tonight. Sorry, you guys. You'll bear with me. So just to be clear, Mayor Peterson will put her stamp on this, her seal at the end. I'll read through it and skip the last paragraph where she will take care of that upon her return. So, whereas Kerry Watkins was a resident of North Logan for more than 30 years, and whereas he graduated from the University of Nebraska and earned an MBA from Pepperdine University, and whereas he served the United States in 2 tours in Vietnam in the U.S. Marine Corps, achieving the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, and whereas his U.S. Marine Corps career spanned 20 years of service to this nation, and whereas his military honors included wearing the fabled Wings of Gold, the Silver Star, 2 distinguished flying crosses, and a Purple Heart, among many other medals, and whereas he and his wife, Luce Peterson Watkins, contributed significantly to the community through programs such as Art on the Lawn, and whereas he led a successful career as a real estate agent and investor, and whereas he served a full term as mayor of North Logan City, and whereas his accomplishments as mayor included developing King Park, designating the North Logan City Center, and laying the groundwork for roundabouts to improve traffic flow, and whereas he embraced a lifelong love of learning and sport, enjoying time playing handball, golf, skiing, learning Spanish, and learning to play piano, and whereas he was a beloved and honorable husband, father, grandfather, brother, uncle, son, and friend, and whereas his passion for life and his community made North Logan and Cache Valley a better place. Now, therefore, it be resolved that North Logan City declares June 11th, 2022 as Kerry Watkins Day to recognize and honor the contributions of David Kerry Watkins to this community and areas beyond, and encourage the citizens of the community to follow his example and do something special for our community. And a round of applause for late Mayor Watkins. Anything to add? Are we good, Alan? We will continue on. Okay, so into our action items. First item tonight is a public hearing to receive public input on 1, a proposed revision to the fiscal year 2022 municipal budget, and 2, a proposed 2023 municipal budget, which may include a property tax increase. Following the public hearing, approval of resolutions may be considered to adopt proposed changes to the fiscal year 2022 municipal budget and to adopt the fiscal year 2023 budget. So before we jump into this, met with Alan today. We don't have to approve these tonight. We really have until June 15th. So my suggestion is that we would listen to public comment tonight and then act on these in 2 weeks. Alan, anything to introduce here before we open the public hearing?
That's what I was just going to ask you. If you want me to go over just a general overview of things, and then people can comment on the budget if they'd like or ask questions.
Yeah, and I think we talked through item number 4, which is closely tied to this, right? So
Yes, we'll go
there.
over that in length.
Okay.
But just going through this, we've gone over this the past few weeks. I'm trying to think if there's any major changes since the last time we spoke about this. Looking through each of the different departments. General revenue, one thing that you're looking at is property tax. We'll go over that later tonight. But these are the general revenues here for the city, sales tax, energy tax. Some things are coming in a little bit higher than we'd anticipated this past year, which is fantastic. I mean, that's obviously very good news. We always estimate in a conservative fashion for this coming year. And so those are some of the things that you're looking at. One thing we did propose, I'll get over here to the very end. The balance sheet, after we cut back in each department, looking for options to save, and then we saw that the revenue came in higher. Some of our depreciation money is going to offset that as well. So our fund balance is fairly healthy right now. Looking through that though, we're still $116,000 from balancing at the end of the year. That's usually expected. We started out at around 700,000, and now it's down to 116. With that in mind, it was getting closer to about 0 or 20,000 just over, which is pretty acceptable. We'll end up balancing at the end of the year if we're around that amount. What we did is we went through and we started adjusting some of the things where we cut back, and now we can probably increase. One of those first areas we looked at was the police, and when they were looking at some innovative ways where they could provide another officer this year, they talked about moving 2 part-time officers away and replacing that with 1 full-time officer. What I put in this budget, and we can actually talk about this in the next couple of weeks if there's any other changes. We kept the 2 part-time officers and just added the full-time officer, and so that added a little bit more into the budget. But I think that's something that we should probably push for, just in my opinion, in looking through this. The other thing is North Logan traditionally, the staff, you saw how fantastic they were, but they are below the mean in their pay. So looking across the board, most of the staff of North Logan City, from entry level to department heads, they're below the mean. And so bringing them up a little bit higher, that's one of the other things we're looking at. So those are 2 of the things that kind of increased it back up to where it's at. Along with one more road project, we kind of added back in paving a portion of the parking lot. And then we have to look at if we want to add Green Canyon Cove. That's the first subdivision. If you're going up 1900 north towards Green Canyon, you go over the canal east of 16th East. The first subdivision on your right is Green Canyon Cove. It's one of the older subdivisions in the city, probably built in the late 80s. But that road has never been redone, and we didn't chip seal it or do surface treatments over those years early on. And so it got to the point where it needs to be completely replaced. Things that we avoid now, we don't let roads get to that level. But once it's at that level, we have to completely replace it. So some of those things are built back into the budget, and that's what you're seeing. We've nixed those several years. One good example of that is 10th East. I think we nixed that. Roger knows this. We worked on that for 10 years. We nixed it off the budget, and then we finally ended up doing that project. It's tough because it has to come out of the general fund. Those things can't come out of impact fees. They're not related to growth. And so those are the things that eat up a lot of that budget if we do one of those projects in the year. So that is not included in here, but that's one thing we'll probably have to look at in the next couple of weeks if we do want to look at adding that to the budget. The other thing I did build in, because the council won't do this or propose this, neither would the mayor. But I actually just looked at a policy. I talked with a lot of other cities in the valley. The city council and planning commission don't really vote in raises for themselves. And in fact, it's very rare. But a lot of cities incorporate a policy, and what they do is they just say every year if the staff are getting raises, they will get a raise up to a certain percentage of that. So there's a cap. And so if the staff are getting raises, let's say if the staff gets 7% raises or 10% or whatever we can squeeze out of the budget, the city council would get a raise up to a certain percent. So if it's the same as the staff, they get 1 or 2. The highest they could go is up to 4. And it'd just be something to look at. So you don't have to approve that tonight. Probably give me your feedback for the next 2 weeks on that. It would just be a built-in policy though, so you don't have to come before the public and request a raise every few years. But just to point out, the city council, I'm not going to be insulting to each of you. You're basically volunteers. Your costs basically just cover your travel, and so a raise on that of 4% is almost insulting, but something that we do need to look at, or it'll just remain stagnant for 20 years. And so it's something to keep in mind, along with the planning commission as well.
Gotcha. I think we'll have time for comment after the public hearing, but just a quick question. Are you asking for the revision for 2022 to be approved tonight though?
I would hold off on both of them.
Okay. All right.
I would get feedback from the public, and then we can talk the next 2 weeks, and then if there's any changes at that point, we can bring them up as well.
Okay, we'll jump into the public hearing then before council comments. Instructions for speaking. We have a couple public hearings tonight. Actually, I think 4 to be accurate. So I'm gonna read through this just once. It'll hold true for all hearings throughout the evening. Before you begin, and I can't state this enough, please state your name for the record. Please speak into the microphone so that your comments can be recorded. Also note that we're streaming, so that helps our remote viewers be able to hear your comments better as well. Please limit your statements to 2 minutes. If you are also speaking in behalf that are present, you may ask the chairman for more time. Please phrase your opinions in the form of statements, not questions. A public hearing is your opportunity to express your opinions to the city council. It is not a time to ask questions and expect dialogue between yourself and the council or city staff. Please address your comments to the council, not to the public. The council might ask questions about your comments in order for them to better understand you. If you have questions or need to discuss an issue, please meet with city council members or the appropriate staff member before the public hearing where dialogue can take place. You may provide a written statement as your input for a hearing. You may read your entire statement or summarize it. The 2-minute rule applies. You may provide a copy of a written statement to the city recorder. He will make copies for the city council. Written comments, if a copy is provided, become a part of the public record but are not included in the minutes of the meeting. On that note, we will declare the public hearing open for item number 2 on our agenda. Feel free to run up to that microphone. And then we'll do the 10 seconds of awkward pause. I guess while we're waiting, Scott, did any comments from remote viewers or any emails?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm not seeing any comments, so we will declare this portion of the public hearing closed and turn to the council for comments or questions.
Would you mind clarifying exactly? This is 2022's fiscal budget that we're discussing, correct? Okay.
This is the end of the current fiscal year, so a
Okay.
revision for this end of the year. And Scott's done a lot of items to look at where we might be going over on certain lines and where we're under on certain lines, and then balancing those. That's really the end of the year
Okay.
budget that you're looking at. And then the proposal for next year's, starting July 1st.
And next year's, we have to have a tentative approval by June 15th, correct?
Correct.
Have that hearing. Okay.
No, that would be, it's not tentative. That
Sorry.
is the full budget
For
approval
2023.
for 2023.
2023, it's approval of the budget, including a property tax that has a cap.
Gotcha.
So
Capped property tax.
It is a tentative budget that you won't actually finalize until August.
Yeah.
When you have the next public hearing.
Okay. But to clarify, the public hearing that we just had was about the end. It's about both or just the end? Okay,
Both.
sorry, got confused reading the agenda.
What I think is confusing is on number 4, we're going to cover the true property tax increase that's being considered for
Yes,
2023.
okay,
Yeah.
that's where I'm getting
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah.
You did mention one thing, I just need some clarification. You said that with the police that you were keeping in 2 part-time officers. Would you mind going through that just one more time? I just didn't quite understand what you said.
So the police, they gave a very informative kind of tiered structure in that PowerPoint a few years
Yes.
ago of they're short staffed. They're still understaffed for where in comparison with other like agencies. And when you look at that, they need the 4 more officers. Obviously, affording that is well beyond our reach. However, one proposal that they came up with, which was very innovative, was just taking 2 part-timers that they currently have and then replacing that with 1 full-time position. And so it only increased the budget a slight amount at that point. But when I saw that we were able to whittle down the budget and get it to a point where we could potentially add just a full-time position and include the 2 part-time, I just include that in here. I haven't had time to fully go over that with Chief, and so we
Okay.
need to weigh that off.
So we are keeping the 2 part-time positions and the full-time
And proposal
position.
to add another position.
Okay. Okay,
A net
no,
gain.
that's great. I'm really happy to hear that. You did mention raises. I specifically would like to propose, and I would really like to consider, especially planning commission, because from my understanding, they're making $50 a meeting, which is well below what I think that they end up outputting. So I would definitely like to consider a policy for them. I don't feel like I can in good conscience say that I've done enough work to even consider a policy to give myself a raise. So I'm gonna, pass that over to the people who have been on the council longer than me. What do you guys feel about that?
Jump in.
I plead the 5th.
Okay.
I mean, I actually,
Just so you know,
Yeah.
planning commission, they're kind of all across the board throughout the valley and
Yeah,
throughout
I
the
was gonna ask
state.
you that.
Some are basically almost volunteering, like $10, $20 per meeting. Ours get 50, which has probably been that way for about probably 10, 15 years. It probably does need a significant increase. But then others are probably a little bit more. You'll see around 100 or something along those lines per meeting. So it's something we probably need to look into.
it'd be something I just thinking off the top of my head here is what's interesting about planning commission is they don't get that payment when they're not there though. And I wonder if maybe that's what we could compromise is to say they're guaranteed that amount for the year for, even if they're out on vacation or something like that, that they're just reimbursed that instead of having to cut that payment out.
They're still getting phone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're budgeting, right, annually for that amount.
Sorry, Marie.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Mike.
Craig brings up a really good point that they
Yeah,
are still getting
yeah.
phone calls and stuff. No,
Emails.
I would still like to consider a policy, especially, I mean, I think that they do a lot of good work and ask a lot of really good questions.
Probably busier now than it's ever been, I would say.
Yeah.
So. Other comments, Joni, Roger? Good? No pressure?
This is my first time going through this process, so I'm
Fair.
really going to just try to absorb as much as I can, so I make the right decision.
10-4. I am not seeing any desire to approve this tonight. Just a head nod.
No, I don't, at
Okay.
least. I'd like to wait. But yeah, I have some more questions when we get to item 4. So
Okay. Well, on that note, why don't we move on to item number 3?
do we have to make a motion
Yeah.
or anything about this to table it?
Oh, yeah, we probably should motion to table, right? Yeah.
Okay, then motion to table to our June 15th meeting.
Motion by Emily,
I'll second.
second by Joni. Further conversation, discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I don't see any opposed. Go ahead. Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Unanimous. Thank you for the reminder of the table. Okay, and I believe we do need to dismiss and reconvene as the redevelopment agency to review and hold a public hearing on the RDA budget. Do I have a motion to, we don't need to dismiss, right? We can just motion into
Yeah.
RDA. Okay.
I'll
Motion
I'll make
to,
the motion that we convene as the RDA.
motion by Craig, second, second by Emily, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, I as well for approving Marie. Okay, we are now convened as the redevelopment agency for North Logan City. Item number 3 on the agenda. Hold a public hearing to receive input on 1, a proposed revision to the fiscal year 2022 RDA budget, and 2, a proposed fiscal year 2023 RDA budget. Following the public hearing, approval of resolutions may be considered to adopt proposed changes to the fiscal year 2022 RDA budget and adopt the fiscal year 2023 RDA budget. And I believe we can wait on this as well until June 15th. Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. All right. You have in
Motion to
front of
approve the
you.
RDA agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Agenda is approved. We've already read through the item on the agenda. So remind me, this is the same deal. We can choose to approve this in June on this next
Yes.
meeting, correct?
Yes, 100%. This one though, going through here, as you look at it, if you have any questions regarding any particular item on this is tax increment financing. That's what this is. They've changed it twice in the last 3 years. It was these are RDAs and these are subcategories. So an urban renewal area, a community, commercial development area. And then there's a education development area. Those are just different acronyms within the RDA. They've changed it to a community reinvestment area 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And then I think the state legislature just changed it to an EDZ, an economic development zone or something along those lines, whatever it's called. We have one that's nearing approval. Once that's approved, all of this we'll have to add in a completely new section to it. And so as you see these subcategories here, you would have to add an entirely new section to the bottom portion here that will account for the new areas that we're adding to that. And that will probably occur later this summer. It'll have the final ink that dries on it later this summer so that we'll have to approve it at that time. And that would have to take place in a redevelopment agency meeting. with a public hearing. So this budget will have significant changes is what I'm getting at in the next 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, and my apologies, unless there's pushback from the community, this is pretty straightforward. So why don't we go to public hearing? And if there's not, we might want to entertain approving this tonight. So
Okay.
on that note, we've already read the rules for public hearings. So we declare, or I guess I declare the public hearing open on this item. Scott, any remote comments or emails?
No.
Should we just go 5 seconds this time for? All right, we will close the public hearing and discussion from the council. If no discussion, any motion to approve?
Approve this one or wait till next meeting.
You could approve this one
This
either
one's-
way
Yeah.
because it
black
will
and
have
white.
changes.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion that we approve the RDA budget for fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23.
Motion by Craig,
Second,
second by Emily. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Do I vote in a pro tem role?
No, you break the tie.
Okay, so I heard 4 yes, approved unanimous. And entertain a motion to move back to our city council meeting.
Make the motion, move back to city council meeting.
Motion by Craig,
I'll second.
second by Joni. All in favor?
I,
Chair rules unanimous. We are now back in city council and moving on to item number 4. All right, item number 4 tonight. This will be a good one. Alan has a lot of great information for us. Public hearing to receive public input on a proposed property tax increase to be included in the fiscal year 2023 municipal budget. Once the public hearing has taken place, the city council may consider an approval to include a property tax increase in the fiscal year 2023 municipal budget. After which another public hearing will be scheduled for August 3rd before the 2022 final adoption. You want to introduce this first and then we'll go to the hearing?
If you want me to, I can go through kind of the overview. It's somewhat lengthy and I can just take maybe 5 minutes and just jump through it.
And I
Please.
think, oh, go ahead.
oh, I just said, please go through it.
Yeah, and I think specifically on page, we talked about this earlier, I think it's 4, that's, if we can
Yeah.
spend a bulk of our time there, that would probably be good.
Okay, jumping through this fairly quickly then, and we'll put this, we'll need to share this once it's updated. How are your property taxes used? Basically, as you look at your property tax bill each year, you separate it into a few categories. So you get your property tax bill, 68% of those property taxes go to the school district in one way, shape, or form. 13%. So when you have your property tax and you pay those, 13% goes to North Logan City, 17% goes to Cache County. One kind of interesting trend is that 5 years ago, North Logan was at 16% of this pie. But because the Cache County School District and the Cache County themselves have continued increasing in their property taxes, our portion of the pie has gone down. So we're down to 13% of the pie now. Keeping that in mind, jumping down through here, how are property taxes calculated? So every 4 years, the county is supposed to go out and do an assessment, an appraisal of each of the properties throughout the county. They do it in different areas, so they stagger it. But for North Logan, they come every 4 years and they would do either a portion of the city or all of the city. And when they do that, they come in and obviously the property values would increase as they come in, or at least they have for the past 100 years. So as they come in, the property values increase. So let's say your property value went from 300,000 up to 400,000. The rate actually drops accordingly so that you pay the same amount every year in your property taxes to North Logan City. The only way that changes is if we go through and we do any increase, which we'll talk about shortly. So just so everyone knows, you pay the same amount to North Logan City every year and to those other entities mentioned. So the school district, Cache County, mosquito abatement, unless they do an increase. So the only increase North Logan receives in property taxes each year are from new growth. So if we have new people move in, new businesses move in, we get more property taxes than we had the previous year. So just keep that in mind. The only thing that's kind of something that we need to look into is that While they're supposed to do that every 4 years, North Logan City has seen drastic increases in our property values from the county the past 4 to 5 years. When I say drastic, they are drastic. Obviously, home values have increased the past 4 years, but every year North Logan has experienced a drastic increase in home valuations. And we'll get to that shortly. The reason that's kind of something we need to look into and talk with the county about if we're going up that high in valuations. So looking at this though, North Logan City, you saw that $100,000 shortfall on things that we're looking at. These are options for potential increases. Now take these with a grain of salt. The county is supposed to give us the certified tax rate on May 1st of each year or earlier. They did not have it ready until today. So these are estimations and they're very low on estimations. The reason I say that is because the average property tax value in this chart is $466,000 for North Logan City. So all of these numbers right here for next week, 2 weeks from now, will increase dramatically. Apparently the new average for North Logan City is $590,000. That's average. So even if you take into account all of the townhomes, apartments, everything throughout North Logan City, that is very high on evaluation from the county. That's not very comforting right now when you're looking at things because, and we'll get to that, why that's kind of alarming for a city. Regardless, I'm just going to go through this table and give you examples though. Keeping in mind, instead of 466, that's 590 now for the average home valuation. So if we're looking at a property tax increase and it's 5%, keeping in mind that rate's going to drop. So we're talking about it's dropping down. A hold the rate, meaning we would just leave it level, let the valuation increase, we would hold the rate. That's actually a 7.8% increase in property taxes. However, not to get too confusing. So if we're just looking at a 5% property tax increase, we can go through all these numbers. The average valuation is $466,000 for the resident. That portion of North Logan City's bill is $344. So at the 5% increase, it would literally be a $17 increase for that home each year with a 5% increase. And that would take it up to $361 for that home. That's again, just the North Logan City portion. And so that would bring in an anticipated $47,000 into North Logan City's general fund. If we were to do a 10% increase, obviously these values stay the same, but the increase would go up to $34 on their property tax bill. So you're looking just under $3 per month is what it would be to increase. So looking through there, that would give us 95,000. So we'd be pretty close to covering that entire shortfall that we have at the end of the year. Again, this meeting though is just a discussion. All you're doing is setting a cap that you could increase even next meeting. This meeting, you're probably not going to do anything. I wouldn't recommend it. Next meeting on the 15th, all you would do is just set the cap for what you could increase property taxes this year.
So a lot of factors to consider there with the value of the homes going up so dramatically. Our percentages need to be redefined probably.
Before we have this, though, do
Yeah,
we need to do the public hearing?
Yeah. So then just some clarity before we open the public hearing. It's also important to note that each of those taxing entities that Alan represented at the top of the page could have their own increases as well. So that's what we have to grapple with as we discuss this.
So a 5% increase from North Logan City is about $17. A 5% increase from the school district would be off the charts. I mean, you're looking at probably $150 increase, maybe $200 increase on several homes throughout the city. If they were to increase, county likewise, county's done several increases the past several years. And so if they increase, it's higher than what North Logan City is, but not at the rate of the school district. Just a general overview. What are these funds used for? North Logan City over the past several years, they've really pressed to increase and support public safety. Our budget for fire has gone from $500,000 per year. That was about 6 years ago. Now it's just over $1 million per year for our fire and EMS. Police, 2 or 3 years ago, they were extremely shortchanged in officers, to the point where they were so overworked, we were losing additional officers. That was just unsustainable beyond belief to have that in our police department. And so over the past 6 years, we've increased from $850,000 a year. The next year is proposed, it's just over 1.7. It's under $1.8 million per year would be their budgetary demand. However, that gets them to where, like we talked about before, still probably not at the mean, but not losing officers left and right, which is what we can't have because of the sheer cost to replace officers and have them in our department. Most of the other departments, though, over the past 6 years have not had an increase. So they're relatively flat. So parks, streets, cemetery, recreation, executive facilities, they've all just kind of remained flat or stagnant over all those years. They have seen small raises or other things, but their departmental costs are about the same. So if we do have extra money, if we can figure out anything in the next few weeks, probably those monies I spoke about probably need to go to one of those roads projects that we put off for 5-10 years. And obviously public safety is at the top of the pecking order as well when we have extra money. And that's what we always have to consider. Property taxes compared to other cities, as you compare this, North Logan City is below average as far as our rate. We pride ourselves on that. These are all the other cities. You look down through there. Goals in North Logan City, I'll just go over this very shortly. North Logan City has received more in grants and donations than any other city in the valley over the past several years. That's how we've survived. That's how we've done the things that we were able to do. 3 or 4 of our departments are the most efficient in the state in use of tax dollars. But overall, the things that we want to look into are economic development, being fiscally prudent, frugal. And the reason we want to do that is because we want to stay below average on our property tax rate. We don't want to burden the citizens of the community, essentially, is all we're saying. But this is a consideration for a property tax increase of those percentages that you saw.
So I do have a question. Scroll back up to the paragraph just above the potential property tax increase for North Logan City. Right there. The last sentence. So just walk me through the last 2 sentences of that paragraph. In 2018, we increased the rate by 2%.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't hold the rate, but we went up by 2%. And then the next year we did by 5%. But
Right.
2020 and 2021, we've been flat.
We let it drop. Everyone paid the
So
exact same
we let
dollar
it
amount.
drop to whatever the state let it drop to,
Yeah, essentially. So
rather than increasing it in small increments.
correct. So it's exactly the same. Hold the rate is always, it's a little bit different every year. The one thing that's alarming is several cities in the county, when I was meeting with them, they said they hold the rate. That's all they're doing. I don't think they realize that holding the rate is a 7 to 8% increase every year.
Right.
And you see that down below.
And we've done less than that in
less.
2018, less than that in 19, less than that in 20, and less than that in 21. So are we falling behind?
The past 5 years, I would say property taxes total for the average homeowner have increased by $10 to $15 per year over those 2 slight increases.
Yeah. Let's jump to public comment. I think that was a very good educational session for any comments we might receive. And then I suspect we're going to have a great discussion about this after. So
Absolutely.
just a reminder, if you are going to comment on this, please keep your comments to under 2 minutes and state your name and come to the microphone. And I declare the public hearing open. Yes, I can see it. Make the trek. No, you're good.
Say your name.
I'm Alexis Alt, resident of North Logan City. I have to thank you so much, Alan, for that, because I didn't totally understand this particular issue. And so I really appreciate that background. I guess I would say also, Craig, to your point, that we have not been increasing the tax rate, especially in the past 2 years. So as a resident of North Logan, I guess I would say that I am open to the tax rate being increased, and especially now seeing the budget, I was really curious about that. That's why I came to the meeting. I can see where additional revenue would be of use. I think the key thing is no one likes their taxes to go up, right? I don't want my taxes to go up either. But when the city communicates to the residents really effectively what those increases are for and makes that compelling case, I think the community will get behind it. So I think part of it is just the messaging to the community, especially as you speak to your constituents. So just to say, as a resident, I'm amenable to a reasonable increase as long as I understand what it's going towards. So, thanks.
Alexis, come back anytime. We love having you. So
I agree with Alexis.
So this is still public.
Oh, sorry.
other comments? Do we have any, while we're waiting for others, anything remotely or emails on this? Others? Barbara? No? No? I'm trying to like pick people out now because, well, let's not overdo it. And on that note, we'll declare the public hearing closed and appreciate your comments, Alexis. I think Joni, you chimed in first. You get first comments.
I was just thanking you for coming up and sharing that. And that was the exact sentiment that I have. I have spoken with so many and tried to get as much input as I could from the people that continue to ask me, what are we talking about? At these meetings. So I feel like if you could share that, it makes all of this a lot more positive for everybody. And that was brilliant. Thank you.
Alan, I do have a question.
Yeah.
I was really hoping to use all this information as much as I could on my social media. Will you be updating it with the increase?
Scott's already updated it this afternoon. I just didn't get all the items in time.
Wow, Scott, way to go.
Yeah, we wanted to have
Fantastic.
pronounced tonight.
Yeah.
Shoot. Can't
But
we?
yeah, again, I wish we would have had it from the county at May 1st. So we would have had all these things prepared.
Okay.
But we got them today. We can update them. Just touch base with me in the next like 2 days, and maybe I can just
Okay.
fine tune a few of the numbers and the charts in the
Mhm.
table so they're accurate with the current data.
And this is just a comment, maybe. I know that the water restriction on the mailboxes has been really effective in my area. And I'm wondering if potentially something like this, showing the potential increases and what that would actually mean for the citizens, would also be something we could put on there.
Oh,
Good
Good
absolutely.
idea.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 4 pages though. Is
Well,
that a federal offense? That Roger brings up a good point.
Yeah, we're gonna be
We're going to get arrested for posting
start
stuff
messing
on
around
mailboxes.
mailboxes.
Jordan
We
figured out that
probably
if you
can't
put a
it on
stamp on it, you're
mailboxes,
fine.
But I
They're on
agree with
mailboxes.
Emily of just plastering across the city. We'll put it on the city's Facebook. Basically, just if people have questions and concerns, we need to hear them. And so if they can look over the information, that'd be fantastic.
I'll add my comments and or Craig, Roger, did you guys have anything to add? Just, you've been on council for a long time and I'm starting to see why, because it takes that long to understand how the budget process works. So kudos to Roger, but there's some truth in that, right? I mean, like sitting up here now for a few years and seeing how complex this is. And then you add inflation at the record pace we're at, and it's ultra confusing. I appreciate Alexis' comments because you know this better than anybody, but we don't abuse in this city, and I think that's something we have done really well. That's a credit to the staff and to elected officials that have come before us that are here now. But when we consider something like this, there's a serious reason for it. That's what I've seen. I remember sitting through some police meetings a couple of years ago where there was discussion about the cost of the police and what the right path forward was. And citizens of North Logan made it very clear where they wanted their money spent. And we've seen increases because of that I think have been well justified and have served the people of the city well. And so I just appreciate our open dialogue on this. I know we're not going to take action on it tonight, I assume, but I think it's just for anybody that's watching and for those in the attendance tonight, it's just nothing we take lightly because we all have to pay it too, right? We all live here. And so, but we've seen, to Alan's point, we've seen the staff of the city who work incredibly hard fall below the mean. That's not good for anybody. We've seen Chief Black try to keep his staff, satisfied at their hours that they have to work and the time they have to put in with less backup, and that doesn't work for anybody. So serious items, not frivolous spending. And thankfully we have these levers to pull that help us adjust where needed to make sure we're staying on pace. And that's all I'll add to that. Any other comments? Any action on this tonight? I'm seeing pretty much no.
Do
Great.
we need to table it?
Motion table. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we table.
Motion by
Second.
Craig, second by Emily. All in favor?
Aye.
And 4 unanimous. Thank you. And we're in public hearing mode tonight on June 1st. These should be a little bit more straightforward. Item number 5, public hearing to receive input and consider approval to vacate a 10-foot public utility easement on the south of parcel 04-083-005 at approximately 200 East, 2000 North in accordance with Utah Code 10-A-6.09.5. And Spencer, you're going to walk us through it, it sounds like.
Yes,
Okay.
yep. I'll give you a breakdown on this. So as part of subdivisions, when they go in, one of the things that's required is public utility easements around each lot. We have them on each lot line. Typically, those are 5 feet wide. And those are just to locate all the many different utilities that have to get put into each residence, commercial development, et cetera. We're looking specifically at the Four Seasons expansion, Four Seasons South expansion here. It's that large parcel. When that was put in, when it was subdivided, they drew public utility easements, PUEs, around the entire perimeter of that. They actually made them larger than our standard, which is the 5 feet. They bumped them up to 10 feet. And so those were on the plat for a while. Buildings were built, approved, building permits issued, and then comes down to it to the present day. And some of the buildings that were approved by the city were approved to be at that 5 foot mark, even though the public utility easement was recorded at 10 feet. So the proposal here today is to remove the public utility easement in one specific section of this plat, essentially. And we have to do that by ordinance and with a public hearing, and that's per state code procedure. But it would just be along the south side, just right on the north border of the 2000 North right of way. That 10-foot public utility easement with this ordinance would be vacated. Yeah.
Let's jump to public hearing and then we'll entertain council comments. Declare the public hearing open. Previous rules apply. Scott, any remote or email comments on this? In the audience, going once. Alexis? No, you okay, just double checking, going twice. Close. We will officially declare the public hearing close on this matter. Comments from the council.
Only one. Would it go to 5 feet then?
In this case, we would vacate the entire thing. So we have them around all the perimeter. Typically when something's built, you have your utilities in. We're working with the landowner right now. What we probably want to do is look and amend the plat to have it go to 5 feet. But for now, we're just going to vacate the entire stretch to make it clear.
What would happen with the other 5 feet?
The other 5 feet,
Whose responsibility is that?
it just would be out of easement. So it's responsibility and maintenance is, it's not city property. It's still the landowner's property. It's not in the right of way. So nothing on the ground physically will change. It's just that easement for public utilities wouldn't be there.
Okay.
So
No other comments. Would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion, let's see, I'm guessing that Emily is motioning to approve
Yeah.
to vacate a 10-foot public utility easement. Yes,
Yes.
motion by Emily,
I'll second.
second by Joni, all in favor?
Aye.
I see 4 unanimous approved. Thank you. Thanks, Spencer. And then might as well stay up there.
Yep.
Public hearing number
Stay
12
here.
on the agenda tonight. To receive input, public input and consider approval to vacate yet another 10-foot public utility easement between lots 3 and 4 of the North Cache Business Park subdivision, parcel 04-062-0098 and 04-062-0099 at approximately 2440 North 500 West, in accordance with the pre-mentioned code from the previous item.
yes, so same thing. This one's between 2 lots. So it's the 2 lots in this business park. They're empty currently. The current person looking to purchase these lots wants to build over both of them as one, which in our code is fine. They can remove the boundary line without needing any process from us, but we do need to formally vacate a public utility easement so they don't have an easement right through the middle of their building. So same thing. It's 5 feet on each side of the property line. We would vacate that. We still have PUEs around the outside of those lots, so we should still be able to get utilities to them.
On that note, I declare the public hearing open. Scott, any remote? All right. Going once, going twice, closed, declare the public hearing closed. Comments from the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Emily,
Second.
second by Craig, I think that was. All in favor?
Aye.
4 ayes, unanimous, approved. Thank you. Oh, our OLO representatives, you made it. You made it with us through all of that. So item number 7 is not a public hearing. Item number 7 tonight, consideration of a development plan, development agreement, and preliminary plat for the Smiling H subdivision, approximately 40 acres located at 700 East, 2500 North. I'll skip all the parcels. They're on record on the agenda. The proposed subdivision includes 111 lots in the R112 zone and is being proposed to be subdivided using the density determinant method. And we're glad to see this back with us with all the paperwork ready, Spencer. So
Yep.
all
Yep.
yours.
And there were some revisions that were completed and sent over to city staff, and those had a chance to be reviewed as well. I'll let Alan chime in over any specifics, details on those plans or review items with staff or the development agreement on there. I did want to touch base on a couple common concerns and questions that have come up over this subdivision in particular, just as we're at the development plan. So one of those being just the method that it's being subdivided on and the number of lots. I mentioned this last time that the numbering was a little bit off. They realigned some of the south to get close to what the number they were at. So just to be clear, this is R112 density zoning. That doesn't mean that every lot needs to be 12,000 square feet using that density determinant method that they're utilizing. So it's just that there's a maximum number of lots calculated based on that R112 density, and then they can go down to 10,000 square feet or up to as large as they'd like. So there are a large number of lots that are hitting that efficient 10,000 square foot size. But on the whole, there's no more lots than is allowed by the R112. There's actually less. So they're actually not maximizing that. It's give and take between that and the larger lots. Just a comment. Also with that, there's not a lot of open space or dedicated parks or things in this. There's one detention area. There's a trail corridor in here. That partially is coming from the development method that was used. So if this was a density bonus subdivision, they would be required to put in park space and develop it. In this case, where it's density determinant, we as a city can't require them to put in any public open space. Thankfully, we will have park space really close to this and really close to this. So Greenville Elementary is right there. Also, the library is just north of that. We've got Cache Recreation Complex just up the street and Elk Ridge down. So a little bit of a walk, and they're 10,000, 12,000 square foot lots are fairly good sized lots. You'll still have yards in there as well. But just to note, just if anybody was concerned about the lack of open space in there, we'd obviously love to see little pockets, but each subdivision is different. And I think this will be well served by our parks. One other note, just there's an existing use here with some agricultural buildings. Just as a side note on that, so that agricultural use, even though there are residents being built there, is not, that's going to be able to be in operation and stay as a use for as long as it would like to be, long as it like to be those agricultural type buildings. That may be something that the developer may want to pass on to any lot owners along this side and there. Just make sure they're aware. I mean, you could put a note on the plat, but you never know when that agricultural use is going to change. But when you're selling those lots, I'd make sure people know, because if they call into the city, just there was concerns about there being nuisance comments or questions raised constantly. If they call into the city after they move in about that being an issue, I'm pretty much just going to tell them it was there first. So if you can pass that on to them, especially when you're selling those lots, that would be fantastic. And then, yeah, I think the other two things were covered. We had a fence shown, and we mentioned the open house, and it sounded like that was something that could be done as well. So just to cover those are just comments and concerns I've gotten. So I wanted to touch base on those things to make sure that was clear with the city council. I don't know if you have anything else on this development plan or agreement, Alan, that you wanted to touch on.
The only things I was going to bring up are the things that were kind of discussed in the last meeting that we asked the developer to complete, and that was this east side of 6th East. Spencer explained this in the last meeting, but it's to tie in the canal trail, which will come up here across, and then on the east side of the road to this point, and then continue on the canal trail at that point. This east side of the road, we asked them to put in an asphalt path. And what that would entail is it would increase the width of the path along that sidewalk. And so they've drawn that in here. North Logan City would have to pay the difference in the cost between a sidewalk and an 8-foot path throughout that area. They also have a path that goes along here that ties into our master plan that goes all the way from the bench down to this area by Greenville. It would be an 8-foot path along the entire south side of the road. So they've included that. That was in that plan before. We also included this path right here that comes out of the end of the cul-de-sac and ties into 8th East, connecting those areas. So we have some connectivity throughout the entire region in and out of the subdivision along these roads, which should tie in nice. They also corrected a few of the lots. A few of the lots were a little bit under what we allowed, what Spencer just described, or a couple of the lots. The developers modified those, so then now they're in compliance. So the things that we asked them to do this last meeting, they've corrected each of those in this latest plan that you're seeing.
Comments from the council? Lot to take in, obviously, on this very significant subdivision for North Logan as far as size.
So asphalt is what the city is proposing, that we're going to continue that throughout other developments. So is that the least expensive or the best product?
Just on our master plan trails,
on
so the
master plan.
south half of the road on 25th, and then just the east portion of that road on 6th East. The rest of the sidewalks out here would be sidewalk. They would
Okay.
be a concrete sidewalk throughout there.
Can someone from Olo come to the mic? I have a couple questions that I got passed along today. If you guys are willing. Matt, I thought it might be you, but just didn't want to call you out if you wanted to pass it on to somebody else tonight. A question go ahead. Yes, please. you go
Matthew
first.
Bishop,
Yeah,
Olo
thank you.
Capital.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Totally forgot the most important thing of the night. Question that came to me today from a homeowner in this subdivision is your percentage of vinyl siding that you're proposing to allow in the neighborhood on the home.
Part of the CCNRs, I think we're not going to have any vinyl siding.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to address a couple items, I sent Alan an email this afternoon, Monday from, I think it's 3 to 5. We have an open house at one of our homes that that's almost finished in Hyde Park. So if you could get the word out to anybody in the community in North Logan, if they want to come and take a look and have a tour of one of the existing homes that we've built that's almost finished, that's available. And so Alan, you have that email and the address. I don't know how you want to propagate that out to everybody.
I can send that to him. Sorry, I
No.
didn't see
That's
that.
okay, but
until
it's
now.
not just for the, you
Yeah.
mentioned that you wanted
Yeah.
anybody in the community to be able to come. So myself and the sales manager will be there on Monday.
Well,
that's
what
a-
were the details?
What are
on
the,
that? If you
do you
could provide a
mind
little
giving
bit
all
more.
the sorry, I agree with Alan.
Alan has them. I don't
Forward that
remember
out,
that
Alan.
Oh, okay.
off my head.
I was
but
just-
I
so-
can send them to you.
Thank
then-
you. I would like that.
And that's what you're kind of intending in the open house then? So people can come see that actually in person, see the
Yes,
quality.
Would this
see
be a
standards.
1-day thing? Is this
One
gonna-
day thing, couple hours in the afternoon on Monday, whatever Monday is, the date.
But like this upcoming Monday?
Correct,
June,
5th, 6th, whatever.
something like that.
Also, for the city council, there were some questions about just our process and what materials we use.
Yeah.
Our office is on 1640 North Main, across from the Neaters. It's next to the Xfinity office or something like that. Dylan will be there tomorrow and Friday from noon to 2. So we're inviting anybody on the council that'd like to come and meet up with Dylan and ask any questions about our process. They're welcome to go visit the office, and literally just North Main down on 1640. If any of you want to go buy a house, go see Dylan as well.
Up to you. Yeah, that's helpful. So, okay, I just want to be clear. So that's the solution for the open house will be Monday in person.
Correct.
Are you guys, so the hours for that are in the email from Alan. Does that extend to the evening at all for folks that might have to work a regular shift till 5 p.m.?
I said from 3 to 5. If you need to 6, I can make it till 6
Okay.
and we can stay. I mean,
Yeah,
if that's
if
a
you could, that'd be
request, we'll make that happen.
Yeah, I think I have at least 10 or 12 people that are going to come by. So, but I
Okay.
know some of them were asking for the actual request was, can we do something at 7 or 8 o'clock at night? But I think we can compromise and find something six-ish that'll work.
So we'll go from 3 to 6 then.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, no, I
Sounds good to
think
pass along.
that's a big step, honestly. And I think people appreciate that. They want to see it. Others, sorry, feel free. Others, questions
No,
for Matt?
I was gonna ask about the open house, but we solved that problem.
Take care of that. I do agree with those homes that will be backing up to the agricultural land. That's going to be a big one. Make sure they know, because there's horses and there's dust, and there's several people in here who know about horses and dust and what that might mean, and the smell. So yeah, that would be one just for you.
We'll do. I'll take
Okay.
that and make sure that gets back to them.
Yeah, thank you.
The path going to 800 East this is a paved path, I assume. That's going to be a walkway, right, for a lot of kids, I assume, in the future. So is that paved?
We'll pave it.
Okay, or cement. I mean, whatever.
We'll probably put some planter boxes there and make it like a community garden,
Oh, cool.
something to that effect, because it's a wider space than just a path, and otherwise it'll
Yeah, I couldn't remember how wide that was. Do you remember off the top of your head, or Alan? The
say
800
50 feet.
Is it that wide?
roughly.
It's that wide. Wow.
Why?
Could you do a smaller playground there, Matt?
Oh,
Oh, I got you now.
That's-
Okay.
That's the width. The path is the path. We feel that each of the homes, personally, I don't want to have a playground right out there on 8. So I don't think that's appropriate for
Playground?
A playground. But, and the lots would be sufficient. You've got the school down the street, you've got the motorcycle or light fun area just right up the street from it. So I think you're covered, as Spencer had mentioned.
Cool. That's right. So for future road, right? So it makes sense. It's that width. I didn't think through that. Okay. Other comments? If not, motion to approve would be in order, or
Yep.
either way, or just a
Okay.
motion.
I'll
Sorry.
make a motion that we approve the development plan, the development agreement and the preliminary plat for the Smiling H subdivision.
Motion for approval by Craig. Is there a second?
second.
Second by Emily. Any further discussion? I'll call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I hear 4 approvals, unanimous. Marie, thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for working
your
with us. Yep.
question.
Okay, we are to our last action item. This is, I can maybe take a crack at this now and can correct me if I'm wrong, but consideration of a resolution authorizing an adjustment to the Hyde Park Cemetery District to exclude all parcels within North Logan City. So just a quick history, Alan. While he's talking, Emily, you might be part of this still today, but when I lived in Aspen Meadows,
Oh,
part of
I
my
am.
assessment was to the Hyde Park
Yeah. I am.
Cemetery District. So in essence, people in this part of our community are still paying that, plus property taxes towards North Logan City Cemetery.
I did not realize I was still a part of it
Yeah.
until I got a call from North Logan City. So thank you for that, because that was extremely helpful for me. And
So this
I don't
is,
know if I need to, but no, I want
this
to, I
is-
would like to be out.
so
if
we're
I can.
asking, this resolution is for the city council to approve removing residents of North Logan City from that district. There's some other steps that are followed after that, right? So this is just step
Yeah.
1.
There's a few steps. Just a little history that obviously the area between North Logan and Hyde Park back in the day was obviously farmland. And when the Hyde Park Cemetery District was created, they basically just incorporated an area of people that would be utilizing the Hyde Park Cemetery. And that was incorporated a long time ago. Keep in mind, it's Hyde Park Cemetery District. It's not Hyde Park City Cemetery. And then North Logan created our cemetery in 2008. We don't have a cemetery district. We found it's a little bit more efficient to run it through the city. There's redundancy of departments that can help out with that. And so we spend considerably less on our cemetery. However, The residents basically is North Logan and Hyde Park. We have an agreed boundary for the cities. And as we each kind of move towards that agreed boundary over the last 50 years in that agreement, we basically know which parcels will go into which city over time. However, over that time, the area here, I'll just kind of outline them. So the area just south of the high school, west of the library, Aspen Meadows, a little bit north of there, North Park subdivision, everywhere east of North Park, some of the homes through here, and then all of Mahogany Ridge. Those are all in the Hyde Park Cemetery District. So essentially each year they pay about $50 to $100. Some businesses pay upwards of $2,000 a year to the Hyde Park Cemetery District. And so Lindsay has been very forward thinking. She's been working on this, working with the county. There's kind of an option for how we can help these residents not have to pay those taxes. We did send out a survey to those residents and said, where would you like to stay? What would you like to do? We developed that with the Hyde Park Cemetery District, that survey. It came back with, I think, 80 plus responses of people who are probably not the most happy. I think the way to describe it was they didn't know that they were paying those taxes. A lot of them, once they knew, they were not happy at all. And then there were 5 responses with a yes, but no comments. We don't know why. So that they wanted to remain in the Hyde Park Cemetery. So overwhelmingly, everyone is either wants out now or they've wanted out for the past 20 years, 30 years of living there out of the cemetery district. And so
you're saying 50 to 100 a year, most homeowners are paying that are
Correct.
part of that district.
Yeah, I
Yes.
looked.
What was
to
our
check.
tax rate increase that we were looking at tonight? I mean,
it'd be
that's
17 to 34 at the max.
yeah,
It
that's
would,
crazy.
it would feel like a decrease for
Yeah.
me personally to not have to pay this.
And so what North Logan City has to do, the first step in here is passing a resolution with the intent. So we pass along that resolution to the Hyde Park Cemetery District. The Hyde Park Cemetery District has to pass a similar resolution to modify that boundary and remove those residents from there. Then it goes to the county for discussion. Then the lieutenant governor just has to sign off on the actual modification because it's a district. The districts are governed by the county and by the lieutenant governor.
What if Hyde Park says no, the Hyde Park district, if they just decline to take it up?
The Hyde Park Cemetery District does have that option. However, the county in working with us, and Gina Worthen's been very aware of this for several years, so she's also been helpful. The residents who knew obviously have been coming to the county to say, how can we not pay these taxes anymore? We're essentially being double taxed. And they were right from an ethical level. They are being double taxed. And so when they came to Gina, she looked at all the options. They worked with the county. The county's come up with the process. One of the things they have on the Hyde Park Cemetery District right now, the county accordingly, based off of all the comment they've been given, they appointed several individuals from North Logan City, from this area, to that district board. And so they would get together, work with them to approve that resolution. So essentially remove themselves out of that district. And then the county would adjust the boundary, working through that process. There's still other steps in that. This is the first step.
All right.
So I'll just make a couple comments. I think 7 years I've been on the cemetery committee. And before that, I was here when we started it in 2008. And I know there were the discussions about whether we create a cemetery district. Districts, they're tough to create, especially with the state laws they are now. So I know we made a conscious decision as a city to maintain our cemetery through our general fund and through our general fund tax. And I don't know that we fully realized that we're double taxing several other residents, but as that came to light, I think this is the right move. I do feel it's unfortunate that they're going to have a decrease in their income, but it's the fair and the right thing to do for our citizens.
Nice. That's great. Other comments? If not, motion is in order.
Motion to approve the resolution to adjust the boundary for the Hyde Park
Just say, "Let the
Cemetery
fees
District.
rest in peace."
Let's strike that from the native fees, rest in peace. Motion by Emily. Is there a
I
second?
said it right.
Second by Craig. All those in favor?
I,
Chair rules 4 ayes in favor, unanimous. Thank you. That is the end of our action items. We will jump to our work session items that I believe will go pretty quick. So bear with us. We're getting close. Alan, item number 9, discussion regarding North Logan's water conservation efforts, infrastructure installation updates, and an overview of proposed Flip the Strip program. Many of you may have received a phone call tonight from the city stating that our water restrictions have now enhanced as of today for 2 days a week for most homeowners watering on the culinary system. And then I think it was 3 days that are completely excluded from watering.
Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, I can't remember all the days, but yeah. Oh, or Jordan's gonna take us through. Sorry, Jordan.
Jordan Alden.
Congratulations on your recognition tonight as well.
Thanks.
So you're lucky to get a good picture of you.
I took it myself. So just wanted to go through. So yeah, our current water restrictions, as you guys probably got your phone call tonight, they did change to 2 days a week. The way this works and the reason this works is 2 days a week it coincides with the secondary water restrictions currently in the city. So all secondary water systems are also on a 2 day a week watering system schedule. So we coincide with that. What that helps us do is it helps our reservoir levels level out. So when we allow daily watering, what happens is we have a big peak use at night, and then in the morning we struggle to fill those reservoirs back up. But what this does is it evens out those reservoir levels so that they stay at a constant level. We're able to supply water all summer. The reason why we do a couple days off is in hopes that Wednesday, Thursday is able to have our pumps take a break for a day so that they don't run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So those are the current water conservation steps. This is active as of June 1st, and we will continue just to play it by ear as the year goes on. With this added moisture, it has helped reduce the demand on the system, but we haven't seen our system rebound or our wells come up from the rain, but we have seen a reduction in demand, which is fantastic. And then if you want to go to that, is there any questions on the?
Yeah.
Jordan, I just want you to say that last sentence really loud and really clearly, because that is a question I'm going to get, because people are going to be like, look, why are we more restrictive? We've had more water. So if you could just say it extra loud.
So the rain that's falling on the ground it doesn't make it into our wells instantly. So it takes all the geologists tell us it takes about 2 years for that water to reach our well system. So the snowpack in the mountains is great, but it won't reach our system for about 2 years. The springs up the canyon, we do collect a lot from big storms. So like that big storm last night that came through and dropped a significant amount of water really quickly. We can collect some of that, but not all of that. And so it doesn't help us with water production, but it does help us by the way of people don't use the water for that week. So it buys us another week, 2 weeks down the road that people don't use the water. So that's how it helps us.
So right now is most the source from the wells or from the canyon?
Wells only.
Just the wells?
Yep.
And are we running the wells behind Jack's yet?
Not yet.
Not
We'll
yet.
start that. We were planning to start that this week, but with this cooler weather and the demand
Helped a
being
little bit.
low, we were able to buy another week. So.
But you anticipate we're gonna
Oh
need
yes.
those? I thought
Last year
so.
that was probably
That's what
that's
saved
one of
us
our
on-
major sources.
Yeah. The
Point of-
byproduct is that is electricity costs, because now we're pumping it through the whole city.
Yeah.
To speak to Jordan, Emily, and Craig's points regarding the water coming out of the canyon, the reason North Logan exists is because we had to file for that water, so we had to incorporate to file on that water. It's so low right now that we can't even use it.
I
And
knew
we
there
have to
wouldn't be
reach
any
a
more
certain
coming out of the
level
canyon.
to be able to pump it through our system, our treatment plant. It's so low that we can't use it. And last fall, it actually stopped running. That's the first time in the 100 years that has ever stopped running. So that puts it in perspective, the amount of water we are getting, regardless of the rain, snow, or whatever is coming out.
Yep. That was Thanksgiving Day, just so kind of weird.
How's enforcement? You guys,
So-
how are we enforcing that? Is it your department that's going out and
Yep.
just checking?
Yeah. So what we'll do is, we try to enforce with just education.
Yeah.
We try to help people understand the restrictions, understand the conservation measures on how we can all work together to achieve a goal. And so what happens is there's actually a new website on slowtheflow.org, a new page on there where you can turn in your neighbors. We
Tattletale
didn't make
program.
this, but the state did. We get a lot of complaints through that. And so we'll reach out to those individuals with just the information we have. We also do have, just our water department, when they're out and about, will notice people on wrong days. So we'll add a flyer to their door. We'll put a conservation note to say, hey, please stay within the conservation requirements. So
Is
we do
anybody
enforce it.
enforcing on Sunday?
We didn't enforce it last month just because of the weather.
Yeah.
We didn't see a demand to it. So we have started today. So
On
Sundays,
Sunday
we-
specifically, you guys are going out?
well, we
No,
could
I'm
be,
just
we
curious.
could be going out on Sunday in
Yeah.
the wilderness.
Because you want, no. This is a funny item because you guys probably do. I get a lot of people like, hey, so-and-so's watering, and you guys need to get on them. I mean, there's a lot of passion around
There
it.
is.
And it's not, I need to be able to water. It's, hey, I want to have drinking water. So can you please stop my neighbor? I'm like, you might want to just ask them if they know that Sundays are, well, I'd rather have you do that.
I mean, no
Fine,
one wants to
fair,
have that
fair.
uncomfortable conversation because you have to
Yeah.
look at them all the time. I mean, you live
Yeah.
next to them. I get it. I can understand that. Are you going to be updating the flyers then on all the mailboxes as well?
Yep.
Okay, thank
So
you.
they could be, some of them may have already been changed,
Ooh,
but we will be updating
Wow.
if they haven't yet. Because
This
they
guy's
began
on
June
it.
1st, so our guys started changing it
well, thank you so much. That has been extremely effective in
Yeah.
passing information along.
for sure. We'll quickly talk on the Flip the Strip program. We did, we'll talk on that so that we can go quickly. So one of the main things, Spencer's been key in this too. That's why he was an employee of the month, is because of his transportation plans. You guys have probably heard in the state of Utah of the Flip the Strip program. One of the things that we've found is a lot of the commercial areas in the city use a lot of water on their strips, on their parking strips, on their parking lot areas. The reason is they want to keep it attractive to people coming in. They want to keep it green. They want to keep it nice and clean. So with our discussion with a lot of the businesses we went to every business this spring. One of our water guys goes in and talks about backflow and water conservation, gives them a letter. One of the things that they've had a big push on is trying to flip their strips. There's a significant amount of savings that can come from commercial buildings and businesses changing their landscaping to water-wise landscaping, because their areas are so big, they can really have an impact on water usage. So one of the things that we're looking to create here in the coming weeks is the program directed at commercial and industrial areas, working with Spencer's Main Street design standards as far as landscaping requirements. So we stay within those for trees and bushes and stuff like that, plants. But that's something we're going to start implementing here in the next couple of weeks. We'll have a final draft coming up probably next council. What we'll do is probably we're going to put in the application. We're going to develop an application so that a business can come in and say, this is what we'd like to do. Spencer will review it with our staff to make sure that it meets the landscaping requirements for Main Street. And then we would give them a reimbursement of up to 50 cents per square foot towards their water bill so that they can use that. And we've had a lot of people really excited about that, a lot of businesses, because they can see the savings and they can see that, it will help city and help people around them. Residential would be the next step. The savings on a residential Flip the Strip program aren't as significant as a commercial, but they would be beneficial, mostly in education. So with the money we have available, we would focus on the commercial, and then we'd hope to implement the residential after that. So yeah, any questions on that?
Sounds great.
Any other questions for Jordan?
The only other thing they're working on, I just have to give a hats off or kudos to these guys. They are working with the top 10%. So they've basically taken all the data, put it into a GIS system. They know exactly like who's using what, when, all over the city. They have it all mapped out. And so they did that because then they can take a look at it and just really fine tune and find the highest water users throughout the city and target those to have a major reduction in those highest water users. And that's where we gain the greatest amount of ground. When you're using millions of gallons in a month, If we can take those millions of gallons, the average home uses 4,000 to 6,000 gallons. If we can reduce from millions of gallons down, that's what they've started doing. So they started targeting those residences that use 200,000 or 300,000 gallons in a month. They started targeting those as well, both financially, but with education and opportunity. So we've already sat down with 2 or 3 institutions, other entities where we can say, look, there are better options here for you, whether that's converting to secondary, xeriscaping, all of the above were on the table in those discussions. And it's really, it was a quick educational process for them and also for us to go through that and say, here's some ways where you could cut back. But what that does is North Logan City doesn't care about, well, I do care about getting money to cover our costs. But the problem is no matter how much we charge, it does not cover the cost of a $2, $3, $4 million tank. We're not going to make that amount of money off of just increasing rates all the time. So the bigger bang for the buck is just having everyone reduce. That literally just buys us 1, 2, 10, 20 years of costs, of capital costs by having people just cut back on usage.
How have the conversations gone, Jordan?
They've actually gone really well. A lot of people so we did, like Alan said, we sent it to the top 10% of residential users as well. And we put on there to please reach out to us. We could talk specifically about their bill. Like Alan said, we can look up how much you use on each given day. We've actually been able to find a lot of leaks on people's systems that way. We've corrected a lot of those. People have called and said, hey, I don't know why I use this much. Please come over. We go over, we can read their meter with them. We can see the trends, find out exactly where their water leak is. So we've actually saved a lot of people money that way. And a lot of people didn't know. They weren't aware. They have a landscaper come in, turn on their clock at the beginning of the year. They don't ever touch it until the fall. So they weren't aware of the water use. There was a couple of people that, were upset just to say, we want more water. We want a greener lawn. But the majority, 98%, have been more than happy to help reduce water. And that's both.
I'm so glad that has
commercial.
been so effective.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
really
been
glad to
great.
hear that.
So fingers crossed it keeps up.
Nice job, Jordan.
Thanks.
To you and your team. Okay. Oh, we have a comment. Do you want to come to the mic?
Yes.
Kind of the rules. I know. These rules ruin. I just kidding. But then we get to get your name too. So that's
Well, you're gonna think I did that on purpose, but I didn't. Mark Hurd, resident of Hyde Park. I'm here for like 4 different reasons. This is one of the more important ones in my opinion. I am currently on the board for the Hyde Park Canal Company. That's the canal that runs right here. And so I'm interested as to, in this discussion, where your thoughts, and maybe Alan can help me understand what the council knows about the Logan River watershed project and how that would impact and benefit North Logan on this very important subject.
Is that the new dam that's being considered?
Brett Randall came in about, I think,
Part of the Crockett.
a month ago.
Crockett Avenue and
Yeah, we're pretty
piping
familiar with
this.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you're familiar with that project and how that could dramatically reduce the demand on your culinary system for irrigating or outdoor water use, right? Okay, great. If there, I noticed on the bulletin a minute ago when Jordan was talking that you have restrictions in place for secondary water use as well.
I think the canal companies.
The canal companies,
Just
yeah.
simply residents have been advised for city use. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Just so you're aware, for the Hyde Park Canal Company, we are also imposing the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then alternating Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, depending on locations for our users at this point. Likely as flow off the river falls off in the summer, we will probably mirror what your current restrictions are for June. But while the water is available off the river, we're asking people to, if it's there, use it on your days.
I think it's an important point too, because that is often having to address, somebody will see somebody watering on a different day, and we have to often explain that they're likely not on the city system.
Yeah.
And their rules are different, the enforcement is different. So
When we coordinate these, we try and coincide them. We don't impose or really deal with the secondary water restrictions, but we coordinate those so that we're the same. So the Cache Highline Water Company, which is the upper and middle canal, Logan and Northern, and the Logan Hyde Park Smithfield, those 2 canals are on 2 days a week. They started out on 2 days and they've been on 2 days. This Hyde Park Canal, yes, is on 3 days, and I'd imagine, yeah, as flows taper off, they'll go to 2 days a week as well.
And just for context, our service area doesn't begin until the specialty hospital or the hospital just down here. That's the first users on our canal in North Logan. So it's not a significant portion of North Logan, but yet could be a significant impact on the amount of culinary water being used outdoor. Which brings me to another question or point, and that's, I got this letter, so another reason I'm here. I'm one of those companies in your city that's in the
You're in that top 10%.
10% of water users, which was actually quite a surprise to us. Now, we're in that scenario like Jordan was describing, where we're actually tenants in the building, so the landlord handles all the outdoor water use and whatever, but we didn't anticipate that the little bit of grass relative to our overall area would put us in that category. So we would love to have an audit, and I'd be your point of contact there, Jordan. So we welcome that. Sounds like a great idea.
If there's
something we
one
wanna
thing
look
we
at.
accomplished tonight,
Yeah.
we're gonna get you
Exactly.
audited, Mark. So that's
I knew where to find him, but and then let's see. That's it. Okay. Thanks
no,
for-
appreciate your comments.
Thank
Mark.
you so much.
Since we opened up, are there any other comments? Barbara, you're our only, nothing. Okay. All right. Any other comments from the council on item number 9 tonight? Okay, Alan, why don't we jump to 10? Any updates on the Civic Center? I know we have
Just go really quick on
Oh.
that.
contractors lined up. We're
Yes, so we went
Okay.
through the RFP process again with a fixed bid, a guaranteed max price. And I think we went over this last meeting, so you guys approved that. Lundahl, we had a first meeting. It was extremely productive. I'll just put it that way. They gave us about 5, 10, maybe 15 options in ways where the construction costs could be reduced, other options that we need to explore and look into, where it doesn't really compromise everything, but as far as the integrity of the building, the design, but it still just could save the city a large amount of money. And so we went through that with them. And then when the mayor returns, we'll meet next Thursday and we'll go over that again. Hopefully at that time, I think that's still a tentative date, but the community center portion, so the addition that comes off right here and goes out to this other portion. What they're doing is they're just looking at a lot of just the design elements as far as the exterior materials and just minor tweaks. We had a really good meeting this last week as well on that to fine tune some of those things. But things are moving in the right direction. Definitely on both of those. And we'll talk about the groundbreaking in a minute.
any, I noticed Lundahl's doing the new FedEx site off 10th West too.
Yep.
We're gonna have to pull some guys off that to take care of North Logan
They've
City.
also,
I knew you'd know, Craig.
they
Yeah.
picked up what was Revolve Recycle.
Yeah.
They purchased that building and
Oh,
in the process turning that into their production. building.
sweet.
Where all your steel will be produced.
Very
That's
cool.
good.
Locally
That'll be
produced.
Yeah, it's-
I like that.
Yeah.
They're waiting for some machines to come in from Switzerland, I think.
Mhm.
It's a pretty cool building.
Uh-oh. Shipping delays.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions on the Civic Center? Okay, we will move to our last item, item number 11, reports from cities, officers, board and committees. Chief Black. Commission tomorrow?
Yes.
We're on point. The agenda looks light. I think you're going to beat us tomorrow based off the meeting tonight. Okay, Spencer.
Nothing, just thank you for your input last week.
Yeah.
The workshop was great.
Thank you for the cookies. Another reason for recognition. Jordan, Marie, Scott. Oh, Alan. You know, we're supposed to go till 8:05 and it's 8:04.
I-
Let the record
I'll
show.
fly through this.
I'm just
Like,
kidding.
Again, just going over the events, just so everyone's aware. Some of these dates change, and I just want everyone to be aware of the latest dates and everything. Thanks again to Memorial Day. That was absolutely fantastic. Those that participated in that, Craig, Nancy Potter, Paul Dunn, that was our keynote speaker, the bagpipe music, and even the national anthem. I mean, just top notch across the board. I mean, really a very well done program of those that participate. So thank you to each of them. Jumping down through here, yes, the summer library is the reading kickoff, but it's more the fundraising kickoff. That'll be on June 10th, 6:30 to 8:30. Usually I have a few thousand people that come to that. So be aware of that. That's here at the library. then touch a truck, that's where all the kids come and you can climb all over the city vehicles, the police cars, the fire engines, everything across the board. So that's a really well attended event our rec puts together in addition to all the programs they're doing right now. And then the tentative date for the city office groundbreaking, just put this in your schedule, is June 27th at 3 p.m. So you guys will have the golden shovels get to come out and hang out at that. So put that in your schedule unless you hear otherwise, plan on that date. And then obviously the employee party, burnout, Pioneer Day, those are all part of that. Pioneer Day, just so everyone's clear, we always put it on the state holiday. Back in the day, when I first started with the city, I think we tried to do creative things when it fell on a weekend so that we try and maximize attendance and everything else. And it really just disrupted everything. It kind of messed up the way that we tie in with our parade with Logan. Hyde Park's festivities are usually the week before, and we tried things and it just kind of overlapped. And so now all we do is we just say whatever the state holiday is.
Perfect.
So everyone knows that whenever that state holiday is, that's when our Pioneer Day celebration would be. Anyway, those are the other dates. I just want to bring that up, let you know, especially the ones coming up in the next few weeks or months. Keep those on your radar.
Burnout still happening, huh?
Oh yeah. That one is fantastic. We actually have a
So
couple
funny.
thousand people that come
I
to
know,
that.
it's crazy.
And, it's really exciting.
Cool. Anything else? Any questions, Val? Okay.
Smells really good by my house.
I'd say Emily
around
probably
there.
gets a downwind. Yeah.
I love it.
Emily, any
No.
comments before we close? Joni?
No.
Craig?
Just one, with all the money we put into the trunk line and the sewer and things like that, that plant is up and operating. And it's a pretty interesting thing to see if we ever wanted to schedule a tour down there.
Thanks for bringing that up, Craig. Two things. I have a note in my calendar to get in touch with Issa in the next couple weeks. So thanks for bringing that up and remind me this next week. The two things that we'll need to do is one, a tour of the treatment plant, which will be great. Look at where all the your sewer money's going each month to handle that, to treat it before it goes into the Little Bear River. So that's one thing that we need to do. The other thing we need to do is I'll have to go with Issa because they have to do a rate. What they have is a rate setting committee that all the participating cities are part of. North Logan really pushed for that. That's why it was created, was because of our mayor. Hats up to Lloyd Berenson. And so he created that committee. So that's why we're part of that. What they'll do is once the study's all done, they'll know the exact dollar amount that was spent on the treatment plant and what we need in the future. And Issa came and presented on that. And there's a few options coming forward in the next few years of things that they'll probably need to increase the capacity. But he'll go over that. That'll be the final rate setting committee study. And that'll kind of determine what our rates, it'll tie into our own rates in the future. I'm not anticipating any increases. We already have a relatively higher sewer rate. Not as high as some of the other smaller cities in the
And they've
the
built
valley.
in some, they can build another clarifier down there. You'll see it all when you go down there. They're only using 2 of them and they have the capacity for 4.
Correct. They have the 4th, they'd have to install the 4th bioreactor. is
Yeah, the 3rd one's been built, but they're not using it. They would have to totally build the 4th one, but
Yeah.
it's worth the visit.
Be fantastic. Thanks for bringing that up, Craig.
Issa did say he was gonna schedule a tour for us. So.
Yep. We'll set that up. Well, probably next meeting, I'll just get with you and see what your schedules look like, and then we'll coordinate that with Issa.
Cool.
The only other quick question, as they were figuring out the departments to use fuel, are they figuring in the budget fuel at 7, 8? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've never had to, normally fuel goes up 10, 20 cents through.
Oh.
And I'm just wondering, as we look at our numbers, we still have 2 weeks, but I wonder if it's worth having police, fire, public works look at gas usage. And I mean, I'm seeing it going 20, 30 cents a day. And I know summer's high use.
So you brought up a very good point. The reason we notice it, not because I'm as smart as Roger, I just noticed that it was going over in a few lines after Scott updated our budget and showed me where it was headed. So to speak to what you're talking about, yes, it's already happening. Normally we don't go over on our fuel budgets, and we're already going over in a couple departments, not in their entire budget, but that one line we are going over.
Yeah.
And so it's we've already adjusted it, but that's something to look at for the next 2 weeks, that we adjust it even more because the trend's not going to stop right now. Nothing's.
But I don't
indicating
think
that
people
the
realize it's not
transfer's
necessarily the
level
whole, it's some of the war, but it's a lot of it's refineries. You can read articles that there's 2 or 3 major refineries off. So it's not going to get magical even if the war ends. I mean,
Yep.
it's something that they're programming East Coast pumps to go to $10 a gallon. That's how they're fixing it. So, I mean, we got to be, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It'd be nice to have accurate numbers. So when you say, okay, it's now 140,000 and we're averaging that we think we're going to be at 650 a gallon
Mhm.
for the year, it's not going to go down. I mean, maybe go some, but.
Fuel prices. Anything else, Roger? Yeah, well, I haven't gone yet.
I'd rather have a realistic budget. I mean, because that's something you have to have, so. Nothing else.
Just question I have, how are we going to promote the Olo open house Monday? What are our options to quickly market that?
You can send the details to me. I don't have those yet. And so.
They're not
what-
in your email?
No. So what we'll do is, once he sends those to me, we'll take them, we'll send them to the council, but then we'll just post them on our social media. And we'll just get those out.
Emily,
to
I'm
let
kind of
people know.
most concerned with the residents in this area that have.
Yeah,
showed-
I am. I don't think that's enough time. And I'm a little frustrated that he could not say that out, like he couldn't tell me them, even though he's like, we'll do it 3 to 6. He
Yeah.
said that he sent them to you. It doesn't seem like he did.
That's what I'm
So,
wondering too.
I
That's-
don't,
that's as good as
that
we're
is
gonna
very
get.
frustrating. And I kind of wish they were here so I could ask them and be like, would you be willing to do a second one? And I mean this seriously. If this one is poorly attended or we can't get the word out very well, I would like to encourage them as strongly as we possibly can to do a second.
Alan can probably provide you Matt's contact information.
Perfect.
And I agree with you.
I feel like to come in, not even giving us a full week, it seems a little disrespectful to what we've asked. And to not even do it during non-working hours.
Yeah.
Only one day and a 1 day only. And then what did they give us? 12 to 2 days next week.
We can continue to pressure
I
for sure.
would like to continue to put a significant amount of pressure.
How do you really feel about it?
Hush.
I'm just kidding. I don't have anything else either. So let the record show that we are 7 minutes over.
Motion
our
to
planned.
adjourn.
Motion by Craig to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I.
Approved, unanimous. Thank you. Have a good evening. That was fun. You do it next time.
No.
Roger.
No, there's
Or not next year.
a natural disaster. I'll be like, oh,
There might be.
something like an earthquake.
I can only imagine.
How'd you like that? Is it like, I love the that wings turn.
He was the only one. Sorry, Scott.